Welcome to Unity Fort Worth. Today is Tuesday, October 6th, 2020, and this is Unity Fort Worth Morning Meditation. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for being here and being a part of this and the world and life and community that is Unity Fort Worth. With the meditation, usually I pick a theme, and the theme often comes from the daily word. And today's daily word affirmation is I am centered in spirit, which seems rather apropos for meditation, because in some ways are we looking to be centered in spirit? Centered meaning to find that middle point, or that point in which everything else revolves. So being centered in spirit, being that that force or that principle or the God self, God mind, that place in which we recognize the spiritual breath and life that we are in this experience that we're having. So today, looking at am I centered in spirit in my meditation, I thought about what I think was Buddha's very first teaching after his awakening, and that was about the middle way. Middle way being finding moderation in those extremes of our sensual indulgence in life versus that self-punishment in some ways for those sensual indulgements in life, but finding something that's middle, moderate, not one extreme or the other. And in life, I find, well, you can tell me if y'all do too. Well, good morning, Terry. Good morning, Jackie. Y'all can tell me whether you notice extremes in your life. To me, with what's going on in our COVID pandemic, what's going on with our politics, what's going on with our social awakenings and awarenesses that are taking place, to what's happening in the financial world for some of us as we discover, do we have jobs or not have jobs? How do we go to work? What do we do for work now? What happens for our financial life of things like insurance? Do we have insurance? Do we not? Does our job affect that? Does our politics affect that? What about our friends and family? Are some of them having health issues? Or some of them having COVID? Are they too discovering, what do they do in the world with trying to work and have children that aren't going to school or children that are going to school? Those lists keep developing, and the extremes of how I feel about them move from one to the other. Some I'm okay with, and some I'm not quite so okay with. So to me, it's finding and returning to that centered place in spirit. And our meditations are to help us bring that, not strictly for the meditation, but for the experience that we then can take that practice into our world of those extremes and find the middle road, the middle path. Find that moderation on being able to know that yes, we're having these experiences, and no, we're not only this or that for us, that we're not just this awareness that I have of what's taking place in my world and my life. There's so much more fullness to that. I'm reminded I years ago was meditating with a group of folks, and it was a beautiful day, and we had the windows open, and as things work out perfectly, a fire engine rolled right up to the building with its sirens on, and of course it filled that little room with the volume of that siren, and the intensity was permeating with it. And I can remember in that experience as the siren moved off and got a little less vocal, a little less in my awareness, how much I thought that fire engine had interrupted my meditation. But as it grew quieter, I had a little different recognition. You know, what about you? Would you think that that fire engine would interrupt your meditation? Or really, was there something else going on? Was it just a part of the meditation? No different than when I'm sitting in my practice and have the awareness of thoughts that arise, my to-do list for the day, my concern for my friends and family, all those things that arise, are they interruptions to my practice or are they a part of my practice? And for me, I, I approach them as a part of my practice because they're part of what I'm experiencing. They're part of what's going on with this man in his life now, while also being aware that there is a spiritual being taking place, alive in me, as me, through me. I'm not separate from that, nor am I separate from the, the thoughts and experiences I'm having, because when they come and arise, they're a part of me because I'm experiencing those thoughts and awareness. But it's how in my practice do I return to that centered place? And sometimes for me, meditation is just not so much about the spiritual transformation that ultimately meditation is for us all. It's about just how does it help me today? So I'm using it as a tool. I'm utilizing it as something to help me in my day. So the practice is much more of an exercise. But I think that that's perfectly fine depending on where we're at in our life and in our day to recognize, can I use this meditation to help me return to my center? Meditation is always partly bringing us to our center, but I can be more focused on that some days. So our practice today, I'm going to invite us that we're going to return to the center, and we're going to recognize that as those things arise, just like that fire engine, as that arises and is it part of my experience, part of my practice, then I acknowledge it and celebrate it as just that, part of what's happening in my experience. So I'm grateful for it. I give thanks for it. Might have had my momentary experience of not excited that it was there, but now recognizing that it was bringing something to me, especially in the fire engine, that siren, bringing the acute awareness that, my goodness, this is where my thoughts arise. This wonderful sirens trying and claiming to get my full attention. Yet if I'm grateful for the awareness they bring to me, they also bring to me something else I'm grateful for. And that is that Spirit is here. I am centered in Spirit. I'm alive in Spirit. I am Spirit alive. And then that I can also help me bring up and be aware of that gratitude. So our practice today will incorporate a little of that. So as you're ready, I invite you, whether you close your eyes or keep your eyes open, to just be here in this moment. Maybe utilize your breath, that inhalation and that exhalation. Being aware of your body so that as you inhale and exhale, you allow the tension, the tightness, whatever may be present for your body to settle in, to relax, to know that you are this experience and there's so much more than just the awareness of your body. Your breath is showing you that there's also a space between the inhalation and the exhalation, that there's a silence that lives there, is always there, and is always accessible. And as we relax into that, settle into that space between the breaths, that silence, we affirm and know that we are centered in spirit, that no matter what arises, what voices, what concerns, what thoughts, what screaming sirens of our life present themselves, we can give thanks. We can be grateful for the awareness, for their willingness to show us how important, on some level, we believe them to be. And yet, in their importance, we can return in our gratitude to that place of silence, returning to our practice, allowing us to know that our thoughts can be our thoughts, that our thoughts can have their importance and relevance, but they are our thoughts, and we no longer need to have them be the primary. We, the I am that I am, can be the primary. And that my body in relaxing is allowing that truth to arise, to flow up, to permeate, because it's just resonating with that which I already am. The rising up is my awareness arising to who I am, the truth of my being, that I am being renewed, not because I am in deficit, in lack, or less than. I'm being renewed in recognizing the truth that I am, recognizing the power and presence that's alive here. And I let the worry, the anxiety, the concern, the fears, the doubt of my thoughts be my thoughts. Grateful that they're there in my life, pointing to me, showing me in recognition that which is also a part of my life, but pointing the way, showing me just as the siren arises, it also too fades away. And what now remains? The truth, the awakening to the powerful presence, the one source, the one power, the one mind that is alive here. And my silence is bringing me to that attention. I am whole and complete, and nothing in my thoughts that arise overpowers that. I am always whole, complete, divine in my nature. And in that wholeness, I come back and embrace that silence, and I move deeper and rest in that silence. And as we allow ourselves to be that silence, we move to it. We are nothing less than and nothing more than. We are all that. And we allow ourselves to rest there in the next moments. I am at peace, for I am in alignment with that which I am, with this great unifying force, this spiritual being, this spiritual self, this indwelling Christ. I and all that I am is in recognition of that. And I find the peace that comes with that. That is the silence that I am. And in my day to day, I take that awareness that I am centered in spirit. And no matter what sirens arise today, I keep returning to that practice that I am centered in spirit. And I am grateful for the recognitions I have, grateful for that which pulls me away and shows me what I believe is important, needs my attention and concern, but grateful for the returning to my practice, to the silence, to being centered in spirit. And I am thankful for that, grateful for that, appreciate that it is what I am experiencing because it is who I am, that true foundation of the indwelling spirit. And for that I say thank you, and so it is. Today, you might go back to our calendar at Unity Fort Worth, unityfortworth.org/calendar. Always things happening at Unity Fort Worth. You'll see new events that are on the calendar, as well as see that we have a number of things taking place for classes, but there's some events, things that will be taking place here in the near future, as well as there's access to podcasts. So many of the things that we're doing is unfolding and being released and launched. More things will be available on podcast. You can find that on the website as well. So thank you for joining us. Have a wonderful, glorious day.